Hello and welcome back to the Florida Men Gaming. My name is Furion and today we're going to be playing Magic the Gathering Arena. For today's video we're going to be playing in the Into the Future event. This is an event that was released to start and kick off the Alchemy game plan. Also, if you are looking for the Neo Alchemy, it's Play Neo Alchemy for 3 free packs in the store if you haven't already done that. So what they did here is they gave us 3 pre-con decks to choose from, 4 pre-con decks. On my main account, I've played the All for One, I've played the Unnatural World. We're going to take a very quick look at these so that we can just see what they're thinking, what they're working with, how they're building their decks out, and then from that we're going to jump right into some gameplay. So the Alchemy card in this one is the Dragonfly Pilot. It's a 1 white. Whenever Dragonfly Pilot enters the battlefield, conjure a card named Dragonfly Suit into your hand. This particular card, Pilots, has a crew of 1 and does 3/2. That was a mouthful. Fragment Reality. Exile target non-token artifact, creature, or enchantment. Its controller puts a random creature card with lesser mana value from their library onto the battlefield tapped. Invoke Justice is in this deck. Other Alchemy cards that they're working with here. The Ethereal Escort, which is from the Crimson Vow Alchemy release, which gives cards in your hand lifelink perpetually. Outside of that, I don't really see much else in the way of... Oh, here's another one, the Experimental Pilot. This is a Ward 2, discard 2 cards, draft a card from Experimental Pilot's spellbook. The spellbook includes the Cultivator's Caravan, Bomat Bazaar Barge, Raider's Carve, Demolition Stomper, Futurist Sentinel, Mech Titan Core, that's a good draw actually. Reckoner Bankbuster is another good one. High Speed Hoverbike, Mindlink Mech is a good one. Silent Submersible, Mobile Garrison, Untethered Express, Oval Chase Dragster, Daredevil Dragster, and the Thundering Chariot. One quick look here. Interesting. Okay, so really solid deck build. Played against it, very difficult to play against. It is a very powerful deck. So we'll see how we do. I'm actually going to play this one on camera initially. Then we have Blood Bowl. I saw several people trying to play this deck. Didn't really seem to get off the ground quickly enough for them, but in terms of Alchemy cards in this deck, 2 copies of the Sanguine Brushstroke, 3 copies of the City Stalker Connoisseur. This card is a monster. 4 copies of the Kami of Mourning, which is a new card to Alchemy. Whenever Kami of Mourning enters the battlefield, target creature you control or creature card in your graveyard perpetually gains whenever a creature you control with greater mana value than this card dies. Return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. The way I saw it played was pumping and protecting the Blood Artist. Very effective use of it. Outside of that, I don't really see much else in the way of new Alchemy cards in this deck. Looks like they just took something that wasn't broken and made sure it continued to stay unbroken. Then we're dealing here with All for One. What we're looking at with this particular deck in terms of additions from Alchemy is the Mothrider Cavalry. Everything else is available in Standard if I'm not mistaken here. So this particular card is 2 and 2 white. The spell costs 2 less to cast if you have no other creature cards in hand, or if the only other creature cards in your hand are named Mothrider Cavalry, and this creature pumps your field. So this is a really cool card, works really well with some of the other cards in the set, and I missed it. The Imperial Blade Master is the other card. So this card has double strike. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, draft a card from the Blade Master's spellbook. So that includes the Iganjo Exemplar, Imperial Subduer, Ancestral Katana, Selfless Samurai, that's a great one, Norika Yamazaki, the Poet, Aki Ronin, Peerless Samurai, Heiko Yamazaki, the General, Asari Captain, Iganjo Uprising, Eater of Virtue, Sunblade Samurai, Reinforced Ronin, Adamant Will, and Tempered in Solitude. So that particular card, when I was playing this deck, I never saw it once. So we'll see how it goes if we're running into it. But the one that I did see was Ryu the Storm's Edge, paired that very nicely with the Moth Rider Cavalry, which is classified as a samurai. So in a limited little type format here without much reach or other flying, this card flies over the competition and gets you that counter that allows you to untap it and have another combat. Usher of the Fallen, 4 copies, Flame Blast, Bolt, Rabbit Batteries, pretty standard fare in here. So the last deck that they pre-conned for us was called A Natural World. So alchemy cards in here, our old favorite, Inquisitor Captain, a newcomer, the Jukai Liberator, which whenever the Jukai Liberator deals combat damage to a player, choose land or non-land, and then you seek a permanent card of the chosen kind, remembering that seek just generates it to your hand, but it pulls it from your library. We also have Kami of the Bamboo Groves. This is a 1 green creature. When it enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. So it is a ramp spell in its own right. And you can discard the Kami of Bamboo Groves to conjure 2 cards named forest into your hand. So it creates 2 forests. Then there's also the Kami of Transmutation. This is another new card. When it enters or leaves the battlefield, you can make each card in your hand perpetually either an artifact or an enchantment in addition to its other types. That pairs very well with the synergy in this deck around the Kami of Transience. So basically everything becomes, including your lands by the way, becomes an artifact or enchantment, and this card sees direct benefit with the enchantment side. So when I was playing this deck, I played a lot of enchantments. That to be said, we're going to go ahead and select our deck and jump right in. So let's go, whoops, that's not what I want to do. Let's go back, and we will choose the Get In deck. It's one of the 2 decks I didn't play. I didn't play the Blood Brawl because I've played the Sanguine Brushstroke decks in the previous format of Alchemy, and I wasn't all that intrigued by it. If you want to see that, I'm sure that Jay Villain will have some kind of showcase around that deck and that particular card. He's a very solid content creator, especially when it comes to black cards. So, with our opening hand here, we are seeing some interesting things. We're going to take the keep. It's not the most ideal keep, if we're being honest, because the Ingenious Smith would be a great card to have on the board. At 1 and a white, we don't have that white. But we're going to try out with the Experimental Pilot and see what happens here. Opponent's got Olivia the Crimson Bride sleeves. We're running with our Dragonfly Suit sleeves, which are pretty rock solid. These are the pre-con deck sleeves, by the way. It's not our own. We are going to try and get that part of the Mastery Pass here as we continue to level this account up and earn those various pieces. So with that, we're going to go ahead and play down the Reckoner Bankbuster, actually. We'll do that one first. And we will hold position, hoping to draw into a land so that way we can play out the Prodigy's Prototype and then we can start running the Mobilizer mech into their face. But we'll see how it all goes. The Mobilizer is flying, so it does have some good evasion. Prodigy's Prototype isn't, but either way, it will work out very well. Voldaren, Bloodcaster, so they're going to get their blood strategy running right out the gate. Alright, unfortunately, no mana. But the Mobilizer mech, again, really solid card. Let's go ahead and crew up, as they think I can make them do something kind of silly here. I'm going to see if I can get them to bait into trying to kill the pilot and maybe missing the fact that it's got ward. And that's if they decide to block. And they don't, they let it through. So, hey, we'll take it. Again, a land would be really nice here in the upcoming turns, so let's see if we get that. Experimental Pilot, Haunted Ridge, Voldaren Estate. Another Shambling Gas to the board for the opponent. It appears they don't quite have their Sanguine Brushstroke in hand, which is good, because that card will gain and drain us in a rapid fashion. Alright, we have once again drawn a Mobilizer mech. Let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and use the mana here. We'll start ticking the Bankbuster next turn if we don't draw another mana. But for this turn, we're going to bring a party to the attack. They do have the mana up this time to go through the ward. Ooh, Infernal Grasp. Interesting call. They could have blocked and actually killed the pilot this time. No pilot, I have nothing to do, so apparently they didn't seem to realize that, which is okay for us. Once again, if we get a mana, you know, being screwed up here on lands, we have a 46% to draw land, which is insane. Let's take a look. How many lands are there in this deck? Does it even show that on this? 23 total lands I've played out. So they built us a 25 land deck, and so far we've got 2 and haven't drawn another one. Meanwhile, the opponent just is doing whatever they want. So, you know, opponent going to go over the top here with the Bloodcaster. And again, no land. So that is just tremendously exciting. Let's see if they have more removal ready to go. Get both of our mobilizer mechs in the air. Fly over the top here. See if we can win a race with this opponent. A very smart play on the opponent's part would be to take out the experimental pilot on this next turn. But, you know, that's their call to make, so we'll have to see what they elect to do here. They could also just attack into face for 7 damage. But they are within a turn of lethal. It's actually an interesting call that they've made there. Do they hold the Voldaren Bloodcaster back? Guess we'll have to see. Alright, they're attacking in with the Ghasts. Do they go in with the Harvester as well? They do. Okay, so they're going to hold... Nope, they're holding back. Nope, they're coming in. Hey, to each their own, I guess. And a Voldaren Epicure. Opponent once again not realizing that if they just merely went after the pilot, this game would be effectively over for me. But let's go ahead and take the swing for face anyway. As, again, now 48% chance. Our deck is almost half lands at this point, and it couldn't seem to care less. Opponent down to 2. I've got a feeling we're going to lose this one. 9 damage needed to take to face to lose here. 9, they've got it. All they have to do is attack. So we're going to go ahead and just give them their in-game card reward. They've earned it. And we're going to queue back in and hope for maybe more than just 2 lands. Is it an unrealistic hope, folks? At this point, probably. But are we going to hope nonetheless? Of course we are. So, here we go. Nice thing about this event is it's queuing us up very quickly. I believe the card rewards are all Alchemy cards, so it's not going to really help us in our attempts to play Standard. But if you haven't been on top of today, which is the 17th when I'm recording this, with their recent changes and updates to the client, they did, in fact, take away all of the base set pieces from Standard. So coming in, if you are playing the entry decks, you can no longer play them in Standard. They can only be played in Alchemy. So new players are going to be limited to Alchemy as their format if they don't know how to build or what they want to build initially, and that will be a struggle. I have had another account that's been relatively successful for me. I have a number of different decks that I enjoy and some that I feel the most comfortable piloting. So when I had the card rewards from the various free codes for packs that I started the deck with, along with the wild cards and other rewards they give you for just developing the account overall, I didn't end up... or I knew what I wanted to build, so I was able to build a pretty effective deck. One of them built around the You know, I know what I'm trying to talk about here. I've got words in my brain. Uh, Bard class. I wanted to build a legendary deck, so I burned a bunch of wild cards on Helana and Elena, Tovalar, who has multi-purpose roles for me, Bard classes to really get ourselves rolling. I do have some regret in where I spent some mythics. I did get some Arlens, and I would have saved those in hindsight for some werewolves and other things I could have put into another deck which shares some types. I did build a werewolves deck that I've played in bronze, and it's, you know, effective for bronze. It ran into some interesting challenges with Golgari that was running a Dina Soul Steeper gain and drain strategy. But other than that, you know, deck does what it does, we know what it does, and we're having some fun with it. So we're going to go ahead and play the Ethereal Escort this coming turn and give our Prodigy's prototype. You know what, I might have lied. I didn't lie. We're going to play the Ethereal Escort this turn. And we will give the Ingenious Smith life gain. And hopefully we get to attack with this card so that we can give another life gain counter somewhere else. If not, it is what it is. The opponent has now realized that that is a worthwhile target, unfortunately for us. Alright, Surge Hacker Mech on deck. Go ahead and put down another Hotshot Mechanic. Now up to 2/2, because you are considered an artifact creature. Interesting. Nice thing about the vehicle's archetype is it does build the Ingenious Smith up. Now we're just waiting on the opponent. Opponent has 5 mana. I'm surprised they haven't had more options and playlines available to them. We've also limited ourselves in terms of what we're willing to put out vehicle-wise. Taking away their Usher of the Fallen was a somewhat effective move for us, as it has allowed us to just move in somewhat unopposed here. So, you know, now we're just waiting on the opponent's decision-making prowess to determine whether or not they're going to make a play with 5 available mana on the board. They've got the fun little raccoon there. And that is a good pickup. The Moth Riders are interesting. It's going to be a big mana expense for them this coming turn. Let's see what Surge Hacker Mech can target. Oh, there goes the Flame Blessed Bolt. Alright, so we're going to play down another pilot, conjure up another Dragonfly suit, and play out the Prodigy's prototype. Oh, and I thumbed the mute button on my mouse, which was a mistake. But let's see if they play down one of their Moth Rider cavalry. So they are going to lose them after next turn, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, they're going to lose them this turn. So they need to play one of them. And when they do, we're going to smash it with a Surge Hacker Mech, just because they've been a jerk to us this whole time as well. Alright, incoming Surge Hacker Mech. I hope you enjoyed that showdown, which got you your Moth Rider, because now you don't. We'll go ahead and pile it up on there. And we will, oops, don't want to do that. We'll swing in like so. Generate ourselves another pilot for the Surge Hacker. And we'll hit end turn. Fortunately for us, they don't have anything that they can pump on the field. So our team is in really good position right now. They're not going to be able to do much to us here, so we're going to just enjoy the battlefield setup that we have. Play down a Dragonfly suit next turn. And then we'll just go over top. Unless they give us something better. Oh, there's another Abrade. That's unfortunate. Alright, we'll go ahead and just hold. Fortunately, we have chump blockers for days, so that if they commit to the attack, we will have a very formidable force coming right back at them. And if we draw another Surge Hacker, which if I'm not mistaken there was 4 of them in deck, that will effectively take out the Blade Master, considering how many vehicles we're running. Opponent is taking their time. They have all the removal. I don't remember drawing hardly any of my removal when I played that particular deck, but hey, they get to have what they get to have. As long as we have one Prodigy's prototype on the board, we'll continue to generate chump blockers, which is beautiful. As a matter of fact, I might actually just play down the next Prodigy's prototype and start swinging over the top with the Dragonfly suit. That will give us the ability to generate 2 pilots each time, and that'll keep chump blockers on the board for days, especially while they're incentivized to try and attack in one at a time with no trample. Let's see if the opponent sees that. Alright, they've passed priority. Deserted beach. Well, they've got some kind of instant waiting. Is it their umpteenth removal spell? I didn't think there were that many of those spells in their decks, but they've had every one of them so far. Is it their other march? Let's remind them that, you know, this is in fact a game that we're both trying to play. It is their go. And the 33rd Abrade. Alright, let's go ahead and crew up on the Dragonfly suit. Make them choose to block with the Blade Master. They will have to trade the Blade Master for that. Do they have another Abrade? Did they draw all 4 Abrades? A Valorous stance. Alright, look at you just clearing the board. My goodness, they drew their entire removal suite. Four Abrades, 3 Abrades, Valorous Dance, 2 Flame Blessed Bolts, and a Maul of the Skyclaves. Why wouldn't they have that? Oh boy, that's going to be 10 damage right off the jump. Surge Hacker Mech won't do anymore. It's not that complicated a decision, let's remind them. Once again, it is their go. Apparently they made a decision. Not something that they're known for in this match. Alright, there's that. And that. Well, that makes our next turn very predictable. Actually, even less predictable than I thought. Mobilizer Mech's going to come down. And we'll put the Dragonfly suit on the board as well. As long as they don't have a board wipe, which wouldn't put it past them at this point, I'm going to go ahead and leave my pilots in place. It looks like they're going to try and power up the cave. Give ourselves another pilot, and now we have some chump blockers for the air. The Dragonfly suit will be our main chump block of choice here. 3 separate pilots to crew up with the Mobilizer Mech on. And that, I believe, will drag the Dragonfly suit up into the defensive position we need it to be in. Opponent down to 6. Do they keep their mana open so that they can play the cave, or do they elect to attack with the Blade Master and play down the Samurais as ground-based chump blockers? Alright, our opponent doesn't seem to have any concept of what it means to play a game in a timely fashion. They are drawing out the clock to the best of their ability. Timeout will be called in just a moment. Do they try and go for a kill and swing with everything? Alright, let's go ahead and power up. And they've passed the turn. So it looks like they're going to try and maintain their life total here. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and pass the attack phase, cycle the Dragonfly pilot, and generate another Dragonfly mech. Unless, of course, they drew another removal. Alright. The more chumps, the merrier. Opponent once again outlanding us by all of them. Another Blade Master comes down. Now they're incentivized to attack. But do they actually do it? They don't have no, they do have enough mana to reattach them all. But we can attack all the way around them with our combined forces here, and that will be a big deal. Another Maul. My goodness, they have had it every turn. Alright, what's your play? They passed. Alright, with that, we're just going to go right in. It's not going to be enough to kill him, but it's going to be enough to make him think. Do they attempt to power up the cave and go all in? If they do, it's game over. Do they see that playline though? Alright. Doesn't look like they've seen it. Oh, they didn't see it. So they might have a pump spell, which is possible. They've had everything else this turn, or this game. Let's go ahead and chump the Blade Master, the big one. We'll go down to 2. And they had it at every turn. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will try again in a minute. Alright, let's give this deck another shot and see how we perform. I feel like every time I've run up against this particular deck, I've been run over, but I can't seem to run anyone over with it as of yet. So let's see if we get a favorable matchup here. Lone High Knight. Alright, that's actually a pretty rock-solid starting hand. We're going to go ahead and keep. Looks like the opponent is playing the green-white enchantments deck based on the sleeve. Go ahead and lead with blue. Okay, looks like they're gonna ramp, so if they've got that third land, that'll come down. There it is. Alrighty. Ingenious Smith to the board. And let's pick up a Prodigy's prototype. Start getting pilots down. We do have a pretty nasty combination in our hand between the Teleportation Circle and the Surge Hacker Mech. As long as we can keep the Ingenious Smith on the board, we'll actually have a pretty good shot here at disrupting their potential play patterns. If they have any of their borrowed times, it will make this a little more difficult. The Jukai Naturalist does make that a cheaper play for them. And their entire team just got buffed up a little bit as a result of the Kami of Transmutation making everything an enchantment. Alright, Kami of Bamboo Groves goes to 4/4. And here they come, everybody into the pool. So let's go ahead and get the prototype in front of the naturalist. And hope they don't have some kind of sneaky buff. It's possible they miscalculated that. Oh, they went for the ninjutsu. Okay. Makes sense. So they're gonna sneak something out to the board here. They're going with land. And another Kami. Let's go ahead and land the Surge Hacker. Knock out the Liberator. And now, with the pilot on the board, we have a chump blocker, as the Surge Hacker does require a much bigger body to get it into action. There's a Kami of Transience. Do they have another enchantment in hand? Oh, looks like they're searching for it. Draw 2. Alright, we're going to go ahead and chump the 4/4. Oh, and the Mobilizer is a great pickup. Let's go ahead and take the wind out of their sails here a little bit. We're going to go ahead and hold. And then what we'll do next turn is we'll land the teleportation circle and start cycling our Surge Hackers, pounding down their board. Portrait of Michiko comes in incredibly weak at the moment. They're going to get one more card down. Catilda. That is a good thing we got a game plan for that. Alright. Picking up a dragonfly suit. And let's go ahead and cycle that Surge Hacker and knock out the Catilda. Continuing to pump up the Ingenious Smith while we're at it. The only problem is I don't have any aerial threats, or anything that can block anything in the air, and they might be able to come down with everything they need to on this turn. So I might have miscalculated by killing the Catilda outright, but had to happen one way or another. And that's an 8/8 in the air. Is that all they're attacking with? Nope, they did the math. Alright, we may have just given ourselves enough gas here to be okay. Pretty sure they don't have any direct damage spells. I don't think they have anything that can pop up into the air on this turn. We might have survived. Another Spirited Companion coming down. Another Spirited Companion coming down. So they're going to go super wide here. Wow, all 4 Spirited Companions to the board. Alright, the Kami of Bamboo Groves. They are going super wide. They only need to get 1 damage in, so it makes sense that they would go as wide as possible. Alright, with the 2 Prodigy prototypes on the board, we're able to start building out our width as well. Not sure what their play is going to be. They might just let it all through. They'd have to put pretty much most of their board state up against that Surge Hacker to stop it. But as I cycle it, it will come back where I need it to be, and I'll be able to utilize its capabilities to knock out some of their board presence here. Nice thing about the mobilizer is it can pull up another creature with it. Don't know that I'll need to use it in particular here, but we'll find out. We'll get both the Dragonfly suits to the board. And we'll continue to build out some pilots. Those pilots will be useful if for some reason they're able to fill that board even further. We'll be able to pop up any number of mechs, plus these pilots are tradable with the companions. Looks like they're going to go all in on the Surge Hacker. Or maybe not. That's just going to weaken their board state, so I'm all for it. That's okay. You can take out that Surge Hacker. Having the other one is still a big coup. So the nice thing about the mobilizer, what I'm now realizing and what I couldn't quite put to words on the previous turn here, was the mobilizer can go up even though it comes in sideways and drag the Surge Hacker with it, which is a big boon. And then with that, we'll be able to effectively start targeting down our opponent's big things here. We now have aerial blockers for the Catilda. And the opponent has given up. We went wide enough, and we are now in a good enough position that we would have won that game with a few more turns of cycling like we were. And with that, we've got our first victory on the blue-white Mech Assault deck. So since we've got the win there, we're going to pick up the free in-game card reward. We're going to go ahead and move it on over to a new deck, just so that you guys can see one. Even though I've played them, doesn't mean you shouldn't see them. Ominous Traveler, that's a good pickup. So let's go ahead and swap from Get In to... let's go All for One. The deck that drew all of its removal against us, and see how we can do there. Alright, playing Brittany with the Ren 7 avatar. That's an interesting hand. We're going to go ahead and mulligan that. This is a keep. Let's go ahead and... we're going to drop the Abrade. And keep the Showdown. I lied. We're going to drop the Showdown. With the Usher coming down, if we don't draw another creature, we can get the Moth Rider down this next turn and have a really big board presence early, which is incredibly useful. The 3/2 Usher is a big deal early. And now with the Selfless Samurai coming down, we'll be able to attack in and start lifelinking, building out a significant health advantage against the opponent before they start playing out creatures that can get significantly larger than what we might be ready to deal with. Spirited Companion coming down, so opponent is potentially mana stuck here, unless they're just waiting to play their mana. Alright, so they had a mana. Another Abrade. Let's go ahead and clear the path. With 8 damage available, and not knowing how long before they start filling up their board, we're going to go ahead and take a big swing. We have another Abrade on deck, so we should have a relatively clear path to victory here. Kami of Transience, they're going to need to play an enchantment to pump it. And another Spirited Companion, okay. So that'll at least set them up for their next turn. Cave of the Frost Dragon, we're going to go ahead and knock out the Kami. And we're going to swing for victory here. They have to block something if they want to stay in it, but I have a feeling when they get down to 1 health, they might decide it's not worth it to try and rebuild. Go ahead and go wider, even still. Opponent down to 1. There's the Kami. It's not going to be enough to... they have to get something in the air if they want to stop me, as the Moth Rider can go over the top. There's a Kami, played out of order. They should have played that one first, as the Jukai Naturalist would have pumped it, but at this point I'm pretty sure they've got to know that this game is effectively over. Alright, we're going to hit him with the GG, let the Moth Rider swing to victory, and that's the second win. Only need one more to max out the rewards for this event. That deck performed a lot better for us here than it did on my main account. Let's go ahead and claim the prize, see what we draw here. Ooh, Mythic. Geist of Regret. Not sure that I've ever played that card. Okay, cool. And let's go ahead and, since this one is the most interesting of the new ones, since it's not something that played all through the previous Alchemy set with minor tweaks, we'll go ahead and play the All for One deck. Not the All for One, that's the one we were just on, the green deck. Alright, we're going to go ahead and try this hand. We're going to lead with the Boseiju, play the Kami, and then drop in the Plains. So we are now on turn 1, 2 mana in. Let's see if we can draw another mana here. Opponent plays a Rabbit Battery, so they are on that 1/1 train. Go ahead and play down the Kami. Make everything an enchantment, and hope to draw into either a naturalist or a land. Land here would be huge. Kami of Transience doesn't hurt. Looks like we have another thinker. Nope, there he goes. Found his playline. The Imperial Blade Master. That is a good pickup for the opponent. Let's go ahead and just make sure we have all the enchantments we might need. And we'll start pumping up the Kami of Transience. We're going to go ahead and take a swing here, see if the opponent wants to trade. I know it's a thinking man's game, but, you know. Alright, they let it through. We do have an effective chump blocker, as they don't yet have trample. There's the land we've been waiting for. Time to start swinging home. Restoration will come down next, which will be a critical play for us. Another Blade Master. Well, that's unfortunate. That's going to be 8 health recovered. Not sure what the client is waiting on, as I can't block. Pretty sure there's a hold for the Selfless Samurai to sacrifice itself and give this guy indestructible. Alright, the opponent has swung the pendulum the other way. Let's go ahead and play down the Rite of Harmony. Alright, opponent is breaking out the rope. Waiting on the triggers here as they decide whether or not they want to sacrifice their Selfless Samurai. I don't think they realize what's going on. Oops, that was a mistake. Should not have played that trigger, as it came in tapped. Would have been nice to put down the Liberator. Ooh, and the Catilda. I would have had that available as well. Well, I guess we're going to have to be prepared to sacrifice the Kami here. And if they pick up the Maul of the Skyclaves, this game will be over before I have a chance to even think on my situation. Do they have the coup de grace? Well, looks like they're going to get their damage through either way. Really need a borrowed time here. Once again, I think the opponent has forgotten that they need to click through or hit auto pass. That is actually a worthwhile pickup there. This will now give us an effective aerial blocker against the Blade Master if they should find the Maul of the Skyclaves. Then we'll be able to attach it. We have enough mana for its flip side onto the Architect, assuming they don't have another exile effect, which will give us a Vigilant Lifelinker in the air. Matter of fact, we might just opt for that playline anyway and take the initial hit with the Catilda. tap to see if they have the exile effect. No attacks. Alright, the opponent is running that rope down. Alright, they found it. Ooh, they found a land. It's been a minute for them on land. Granted, it's been a minute for us too, but we have everything we need for the moment. Yeah, Braid is a little bit of a coup. Alright. This is going to accomplish exactly what we want it to. The opponent is once again taking their time. Nice thing there is it does stop the double trigger of life gain from them. Ooh, and we got another Catilda. Let's see if they have that 1 mana flicker spell. It may have only been in the blue-white deck, actually. Oh, I forget about that effect. We're now going to be creating spirit tokens, which is nice. And as we gain back some of that life that we've been losing, we'll be getting bigger and bigger here. So as long as they don't land the maul, we can actually now start chump blocking our defense very effectively. And with another Catilda coming down next, we'll be in really good shape to put up a really solid wall of defense against the opponent. Alright, the rope is out again. I'm not sure if it's because they no longer want to play or because they just keep forgetting about the Selfless Samurai. They've got a handful of Samurai cards from everything they've drawn off the Blade Master. Did they draw the Skyclave? Nope, they drew a Cave with the Frost Dragon. Or maybe they've had it and just haven't played it, but let's see what happens here. Moth Rider Cavalry. Let's see if they go for the swing. That was a big mana tap down for them. Okay, they are electing to swing. Again, no trample, no flying, so we don't have to block it with the Architect. Borrowed Time would again be just an absolutely clutch play. And the Architect will continue to generate us ground-based chump blockers for the rest of this game until they get their card airborne. Once that card gets airborne, it's a whole different scary mess. Opponent's timer is starting to get dangerously close to timing out here. Again, that Selfless Samurai, probably the cause of it. Alright, now we have a couple of really big life-linking pieces on the board. They elect to let the 11 damage through. We are now back above 20 health. Could even let them swing all the way home if we wanted to. As a matter of fact, that might be the play here in just a minute. But we're going to go ahead and continue to chump. Let's see if they go for a bigger commit here. They don't. Alright, the Kami of Transience is back, and we get a Spirited Companion. That is a huge pickup here. The Abrade is a blow. Let's see if they end up trying to block here with the Moth Rider. Gotta remember not to use that Jukai Liberator, as that would really ruin our current position. Another Ancestral Katana. Well, could always be worse. It could be them all. What does that give them? It gives them +2/+1, so that would make it a 14 damage swing. Let's see if they elect to attach. They do. Alright, we are back to combat. The opponent is discarding a lot of cards here. keeping pace very well with their health totals. Let's see if they have any other interesting spells or effects they want to cast. Nothing yet. Alright, attacking in, ever vigilant. Spirited Companion's a good pickup. It'll help us dig for the borrowed time we so desperately need. More planes, more lands. Well, at least we're getting those out of the cycle. Let's see if they try that Moth Rider. Looks like they might be thinking about it. I think they realize that it will get a big pump. Might try and pull one over on us here. And they'll be able to attach at least one of the katanas to it. Plus get another combat out of the deal. Do they go for it? I think they're trying to do the math and figure out if they have a path out of here. I've been very lucky that they haven't drawn them all. Ooh, that's a big pump. They're keeping the previous pump ups from the last assault. That's good to know. Borrowed time is a coup, but we need to get it. That double strike is the killer here. This will be helpful. Now every land we play will pump our creatures. And we're going to go ahead and play the Jukai Liberator to give the rest of our field again a continued pump. This might be the turn where we have to sacrifice the Architect on the Blade Master. they've burned another timeout. Now up to 14 health on the Architect. Let's see if they've got another big pump. Another katana. Are you kidding? They've got all their katanas. Must have drawn them on the Blade Master. So that puts them at 12. 14. So there's the Architect dead. Alright, we'll just continue to chump like we've been doing. Alright, we're going to use the Rite of Harmony to trigger off of our lands. We'll have enough if we draw the Borrowed Time, and we'll have another chance to draw it. Let's go ahead and get down on green. Oh man, we are flooding out now. The Inquisitor Captain could be a big, big pickup here. At the very least, it gives us another draw off on the Rite of Harmony, and it doesn't look like we have enough left in the tank for the Inquisitor Captain to do its natural draw. Although if we sacrifice the Martyr, we can put it on another Vigilant creature. Oh, that is not good. Let's go ahead and kill this thing. And there's the coup. That was a long game to get to a point of utter defeat. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a long video. We'll go ahead and try and catch this other wild card off camera. At this point, we appreciate you hanging out with us. This is Furion from the Florida Men Gaming, signing off. We will see you in the next one. A couple of really cool deck archetypes here. Alchemy is a much smaller set this time around. They made a big one last time because of the double feature between Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt. This just being one set, it's a total of 30 new cards added to the format. A lot of really cool synergies that come out of that. But with that, it is up to you if you want to jump in. It's a very expensive format by comparison to the rest because they don't have the same natural earn patterns like the limited events and different things that you can do to get cards. But either way, fun couple of decks, free wild cards that go straight into the Alchemy set, so you'll have some stuff to play with if you get over there. Up to you if that's where you want to go to spend your wild cards, but it can be a fun format. It's a nice change of pace from standard without having to go into historic, which is an absolute nightmare for people who don't have the powerful cards from years gone by. And yeah, so it was a fun night, fun couple of decks to play there. I am once again Furion from the Florida Men Gaming. We'll see you in the next one.